Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations, where we generally look at one or another lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the Daily Office Lectionary. And I wanted to continue today looking through St. Luke's Gospel. We left off on the 9th verse yesterday. We're picking up at verse number 10. And once again, Jesus is continuing his teaching, and particularly today, he's going to talk about the keeping of the Sabbath. Chapter 13, beginning at verse 10. And he was teaching in one of the synagogues on the Sabbath. And behold, there was a woman which had a spirit of infirmity 18 years, and was bowed together, and could not in no wise lift herself up. And when Jesus saw her, he called her to him, and said unto her, Woman, thou art loosed from thine infirmity. And he laid his hands on her, and immediately she was made straight, and glorified God. And the ruler of the synagogue answered with indignation, because Jesus had healed on the Sabbath day, and said unto the people, There are 6 days in which men ought to work. In them therefore come to be healed, and not on the Sabbath day. The Lord answered him, and said, Thou hypocrite, doth not each one of you on the Sabbath day loose his ox or his ass from the stall, and lead him away to the watering? And ought not this woman, being a daughter of Abraham, whom Satan hath bound low these 18 years, be loosed from this bond on the Sabbath day? And when he had said these things, all his adversaries were ashamed, and all the people rejoiced for all the glorious things that were done by him. So obviously what's happened is this ruler of the synagogue is certainly, he knows the law, right? He knows that we're not supposed to work on the Sabbath day, but is healing really work? I mean, there's certainly, in the keeping of the Sabbath, there's all sorts of layers of things that have been added on over the generations of how you keep the Sabbath. And like I said, I've said in the past, I've had friends who were Orthodox Jews, and they would hire a neighbor to come over and turn the stove on and off on Friday night in order for them to make a meal. At the university, when I attended, the Jewish students who are Orthodox and keeping of the Sabbath in that particular way insisted on being able to live on the lower floors of the high-rise dormitory, so they didn't have to take the elevator, because they weren't supposed to use anything mechanical on the Sabbath day. So again, various levels of layers have been added over the years. And here's a fellow who's saying, you can't come back on the other 6 days and be healed, right? Jesus is right there, and he's doing the work of God. And Jesus turns it around and calls him a hypocrite. After all, you let your oxen out, you give them water on the Sabbath day. How much more important is this daughter of Abraham, right? A follower of the original covenant, in being able to receive healing right now? You don't tell your ox or your ass, I'm sorry, you'll have to wait till tomorrow to get water because I can't unloose you because of the Sabbath. Of course they wouldn't do that. And in fact, the other part of the scriptures, Jesus even says, look, you circumcise on the Sabbath day. If it's the 8th day and it's the Sabbath, you circumcise. That's work as well. So again, let's not get caught up in the minutiae of it. Let's understand what the Sabbath is for. The Sabbath is to glorify God, as well as to help the followers of the original covenant to be able to understand that there is a day to rest. Your body needs a day to rest from the routine, and of course to worship and to glorify God. And we got caught up on all the layers of the other stuff. It's just not you just miss the mark altogether. You miss the mark. And so Jesus certainly has to call him out on this and point out to him that in fact this is the good work of God to care for his members of his family, right? The family of God. And so he does with this woman. So we give thanks to Almighty God for that in particular. Today is Tuesday. We do have 12:15 Holy Communion today. The afternoons are looking pretty wonky because of scheduling conflicts, but we're going to try to do evening prayer again at 5 o'clock as well. So you can either join us in person. 12:15 Mass, God willing, will certainly happen. If you're coming down for evening prayer at 5, give us a call first just to make sure that we haven't had something bump into it. But either way, you can watch online at stjohnsdetroit.org. And I hope you have a blessed Tuesday.